Looking to exercise the demons. The Orange and Blue make a quick pit stop in New Jersey. We get you set for the Oilers and the Devils on the Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you inside the EST studios as we get you set for Game 2 of what is a 6-game stretch away from home for the Edmonton Oilers right here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Matt Kassian will be stopping by around 5 o'clock, and we'll also touch base with Amanda Stein from NJD.TV to get the scoop from the Devils side of things. The Oilers 13-15-1 so far on the season, playing in game number 30 this season, while the Devils are playing game number 31. They have a 16-12-2 mark, sitting a couple points back of the Washington Capitals for the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. The Oilers beating the Devils pretty thoroughly in a good game back on December 10th, where Calvin Pickard got the start. The other goalie at the other end of the rink was Akira Schmid. Guess what? That will be the goaltending matchup again tonight. We'll go inside both locker rooms and hear from both teams. We'll see Chris Knobloch, who will speak at about 5:15, or is it 4:15? 4:15. So Trev will have that up and running, and we'll get that fresh audio and video to you later on in the show. Of course, as always, you can join the conversation. Hit us up on the text line, 780-218-9999, or the Nasty Chat if you're watching on the YouTube channel. We appreciate it as always. I see people already chiming in. John T. in Victoria says, love these early games, Tommy, as you do too, I'm sure. I don't mind them. It's just been a weird day schedule-wise here at EST. Very quiet. The boys on the morning show are away. Maddie is going in for surgery tomorrow. He was filling in while Jay Milne made his debut on the Nielsen show, co-hosting with myself. YouTube Trev was at the helm on the control side of things and the production side of things. So I don't mind them. I don't mind them at all. Like it makes for an earlier night, but it is a bit wonky, especially when you're starting the show at 4 p.m. Usually, like, we go at 7 for an 8:30 West Coast start, right?
Yeah. I'm all for these. I'm with John T. Oh, yeah.
You're with John T. John T, by the way, I have to say I'm very impressed with your theme song that you did, the Christmas edition for the Nielsen show. Well done, sir. Well done. Was it Jay and Dusty do the
Yeah. They're
clicks?
big. They're big clickers.
Well done, John T.
John T, where'd that come from? That's an all-time. I got
a work of art.
Dusty to send me the jingle. Might be in their Christmas video. Might not. We'll see. Foreshadowing.
It should be.
Yeah, it is.
It was so well done. John T, good to hear from you, pal. And yeah, I don't mind them. It's a weird day schedule-wise, but driving around, like leaving the studios, going home, coming back to the studios, like you get the sense that the holiday spirit is out there, and people are already kind of in holiday mode, already kind of in full swing that way. So that's good. It's nice, and the balmy weather that we've had here at Edmonton has made it more enjoyable as well. Dell says no midday nap. I tried. Didn't work. It didn't take, Dell. It didn't take. So we're here. We're ready to go. We're energized. YouTube Trev, how you doing, pal? Haven't seen you since this morning.
Yeah, haven't seen you. It's been a long time.
So long.
Doing real good. I also did not get a sleep,
Yeah.
so running. I got a Red Bull right now. Feeling pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, it's been weird vibes. It was different coming in, not seeing Dusty and Lieutenant Eric, but. Yeah. The show must go on, and we crushed it this morning. We're crushing it right now, and yeah, having a lot of fun.
All right, we're going to crush it again as we move through the evening, and we get set for this Oilers-Devils matchup. Second meeting of the season between these two clubs, final meeting of the season between these two clubs, and like we mentioned, the Oilers getting the better of the Devils just 11 days ago. So any questions, concerns, thoughts on this game, send them our way. Or if you just want to say hi, please do. 780-218-9999 or via the Nasty Chat. I'm going to get to starting lineups, and then I'm going to throw the question of the night out there to all of you because it has to do with the lineup. We're going to see something that I feel like a lot of Oiler fans would say is long overdue. So without further ado, here we go. For the Oilers, this is what we're anticipating tonight in New Jersey. McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. That line has been fantastic. Fantastic. They were broken up in that game on Long Island, and they're reunited once again, and rightly so. I mean, I've said it, and I'm not exaggerating. There are times where their 5-on-5 play seems like they're on the power play. That's how dominant they can be and have been, that trio. The second line is expected to feature Leon Draisaitl with Evander Kane and Warren Fogle. On the third line, McLeod between Janmark and Gagne. And then you've got James Hamblin centering Adam Ernie and Derek Ryan. This is how the team skated yesterday at practice. No morning skate today. That's why we're getting the Knobloch availability in about 10 minutes. And so we're anticipating the Oilers are sticking with the lines and pairings that they had yesterday at practice in New Jersey. Nurse with Ceci, Ekholm with Bouchard, Kulak with Desharnais. No Dylan Holloway yet. He is on the trip, kind of skating off on his own. Lower body issue for him. Has not played since that game in November against the Islanders. Connor Brown, a healthy scratch, and that will be the subject of our question of the night. And then Ben Gleason is the scratch on the blue line. So, Connor Brown, a healthy scratch, because I'm sure many of you were wondering when I was reading out the lines and hadn't caught them on X or Twitter or anywhere before. You're going, where's Connor Brown? Well, he's expected to be a healthy scratch tonight. So the question of the night is this. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? 780-218-9999, or if you're watching on YouTube, get us at the Nasty Chat. We want to hear from you. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? YouTube Trev, I used to do this at 1260. I would throw it to Carter Halley, our producer, on the pregame show. I'd say, you have the honors first. We're going to bring that back in the spirit of the holidays. What would you do when it comes to Connor Brown? How many games would you keep him in the press box, and why?
Yeah, so it's a good question. For me personally, it really just depends on how good Adam Ernie is when he steps in. Like, what does he have to offer? Obviously, he hasn't brought a lot to the table.
Not
so
really.
it really just depends on that, Tommy. Like, if Ernie comes in and you're not getting a heck of a whole lot out of him, like, why keep him in? A lot of players say it's good to watch a game every now and then. You see things, you get a different perspective. It's refreshing. So if Ernie comes in and he's, if he's scoring, actually contributing, maybe just PK, whatever he's doing, just being, kind of a grinder, it's what he is. If he's bringing more to the table than what Connor Brown has been, yeah, I'd say keep Ernie in. So for me personally, it would be a day-by-day thing, but I mean, I wouldn't go more than 1 or 2 games. I don't see why that would be the case. You want to get Connor Brown going.
Yes.
He has got, he's been productive in the past. Maybe not crazy productive, but he's brought a lot more to the table than Adam Ernie. So I'd say no more than 1 or 2 games, really. I don't know. That's my thoughts, though.
I understand, and I like your description and explanation of it. So,
Thank you.
Question of the night one more time. I'll put it out to you. I want to hear from our listeners and our viewers. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? A healthy scratch tonight. Brown, just the 1 point through, 23 games, -10, 4 penalty minutes, and 1 assist. He has had a goal disallowed on an interference that it was Evander Kane. Was it last week? Interfered with the netminder, and Brown's goal was disallowed. He has hit the post 3 times in the last couple of weeks, including the other night on Long Island. Outside of his PK work, there just hasn't been a ton of spark there. I will give him credit for his PK work. The PK was better. It has been leaky the last 3 games. Brown, if I recall correctly, on the Bo Horvat goal the other night against the Islanders. His stick and Desharnais' stick were the ones that were supposed to be in lanes, and the pass got through, and Horvat scored, and the Oilers couldn't do anything offensively after that, and they lost that game 3-1. So for me, to answer my own question of the night, how many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box and why? I say 1. I say tonight you rattle his cage a little bit. New Jersey is a respectable team, not playing up to the potential it had built up, certainly. Has had a respectable year at 16, 12, and 2. But I think you get him in the press box tonight. Maybe you kind of a wake-up call, rattle his cage a little bit, embarrass him, I suppose. I don't like the term embarrassing him. You're not trying to embarrass him
Maybe
right now. You just
motivate him, maybe?
motivate him. That's a better word to use. Motivate him and say, you know what, man, you're not playing tonight because you haven't played that well. But be ready for Friday in the big house at MSG under the lights of the world's most famous arena. We need you. You're a veteran. You have way more to offer despite your injury that you suffered last year. We need you to contribute. So the motivation of saying we need you, you're going to play in the big game on Friday. Not to say that this one isn't important, but with all due respect to New Jersey and the Prudential Center and the Devils, it ain't MSG. It ain't New York City, Manhattan on a Friday night. Oilers on the marquee. It hits a little bit different than Newark, New Jersey. Old New York, New York. And so maybe that could be part of the mentality into getting Connor Brown out of the lineup for tonight and potentially back in tomorrow. See you later, Matthew Iwanek. Good luck tomorrow. We're wishing Matty well. Surgery for Iwanek on his torn labrum. I think he's going to bounce back quickly. I don't know if he's going to miss any time. He's going to be in a sling for 4 to 6 weeks, but he should be good to go. That guy's he's a trooper. He's not going to miss any time, I don't think.
No, he's a trooper. It's going to be long hours for me early in January, though, I think.
We're going to have some help coming in.
We got some
intern coming in.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Practicum student. Should be good. So question of the night, one more time. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box and why? 780-218-9999. And then, of course, if you're watching on the old YouTube channel, hit us up there in the nasty chat. Also, if you're watching for the first time maybe, or one of the first times you're just getting acclimated with us on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I see that we're continuing to build up that subscription base. What are we at? 6.25K?
Yeah, almost at 6,300.
Nice.
So it's huge. And
we'll be at 7,000 before we know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easy.
That's good. All right. The Devils tonight. This is what we're expecting from them lineup-wise. Jack Hughes between Eric Halla and Tyler Toffoli. Nico Hischier with Andre Palat and Jesper Bratt. Dawson Mercer centering Timo Meier, who has struggled since returning from an injury. He missed 7 games earlier in the season back in November, and Meier has yet to pick up a point in those 9 games since his return. Remember, Meier scored 40 between San Jose and New Jersey last season. He was a hot item heading into the trade deadline. Dawson Mercer between Meier and Alexander Holtz on that third line. And then you've got Michael McLeod, brother of Ryan, centering Curtis Lazar, the former Oil King, and Nathan Bastian. Shout out to Curtis Lazar. Great guy. Very happy to see him continue on his NHL journey. Just a classy individual. Was a great kid when he played for the Oil Kings. A true character, a leader. And he's turned himself into a pretty good bottom 6 player in the National Hockey League. I know the expectations were higher for Lazar as a first-rounder to the Sens, but, man, the NHL ain't easy, and it's hard to find your way. And Lazar's been able to at least carve out a path in the National Hockey League. On defense for the Devils tonight, Jonas Siegenthaler with Simon Nemitz, Kevin Ball with John Marino, Brendan Smith with Luke Hughes, brother of Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes. out for the Devils tonight. Dougie Hamilton, IR, torn pectoral. Thomas Nosek, IR, upper body. Chris Tierney is a healthy scratch. Colin Miller, also a healthy scratch on the Devils' blue line. But from what I understand, he is awaiting the birth of a child. So his family is expecting to grow by one this holiday season. And maybe the child has been born today since the time I set up the rosters for tonight's show, but that's why Colin Miller is a no-go for the New Jersey Devils. All right, let's get to starting goalies now for the Edmonton Oilers. He did a good job a couple weeks ago against these very same Devils. It is 31-year-old Calvin Pickard. 1-2 on the season, .299 goals against average, .901 save percentage in 4 appearances this season. Pickard, 3-0 lifetime versus the Devils with a .98 goals against average, .963 save percentage with 1 shutout in 4 appearances against New Jersey over the course of his career. Obviously smattered among numerous teams in the NHL, but Pickard played great back on December 10th here at home against this very same New Jersey Devils squad. And in that game, we saw at the other end of the rink, Akira Schmid. The 23-year-old does get the nod again tonight, or is expected to. He was in the starter's net for the Devils. He is 5-7-1 this season, 3.12 goals against average, .897 save percentage in 14 games this season. Akira Schmid versus Edmonton. You saw the lone appearance in his career against the Oilers. That was back on the 10th. 0-1, 305 goals against average, .897 save percentage in that lone game versus Edmonton. So Akira Schmid for New Jersey, Calvin Pickard for the Edmonton Oilers. This is one of 12 games on the NHL schedule. Let's take a look at who's playing tonight. Of course, nobody's starting until 5 p.m. our time. New Jersey and the Oilers will be middle of the pack start. We're going to have some late games as well, but we've got a lot of 5 o'clock starts. So Toronto's at Buffalo. Buffalo in a world of hurt right now, to the point where Don Granato's being asked post-game if the team has quit on him. Not good. He handled it well. But Mike Harrington and Paul Hamilton in Buffalo are very fair reporters and writers in Buffalo. They know hockey very well. They've covered the Sabres forever. They threw some high, hard ones at Granato, and it was a bit tense, but not to the point where it got ugly or anything like that. Just for whatever reason, I was like, what the hell's going on with the Sabres? Because they're supposed to be finally, turning the corner. They're not. They're not. They have a great player in Tage Thompson. They have some nice young pieces, a fantastic defenseman in Rasmus Dahlin, an up-and-comer in Owen Power. I know they're the youngest team in the league and all of that, but it ain't happening for the Sabres. And they're at a loss for words listening to Kyle Okposo, their captain, speak. He didn't have any answers. Tage Thompson didn't have any answers. Don Granato's being questioned if the team quit on him. Lots of frustration there. And, oh, by the way, you get the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight in Buffalo. Columbus, another team in a world of hurt, welcomes the Washington Capitals to town. Will Alex Ovechkin snap his 14-game goalless drought? Longest stretch of his entire NHL career that he's gone without a goal. It's kind of to the point now where we're going, is he going to beat Gretzky's scoring title? Is he?
It's not looking good, man. It's really not.
No, and
I feel bad for the guy.
Me too. He's getting chances.
Yeah, he is getting his chances.
Yeah.
But it's it's not, obviously it's not prime Ovi. But he's just his game, man. You just watch him. It doesn't even seem. I don't know. Like, he's always been a pretty idle player. Well, yeah, in some regard, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So. But like I've watched him a little bit this season, and I've seen a lot more of that. It comes with age, but it just I don't know. He's not skating with the puck nearly as much. And is that his confidence? Is that just his legs not keeping up with him anymore?
Father Time was a word
undefeated,
or a term that was being thrown out there. Yeah, Father Time definitely undefeated.
Yeah, that's just it sucks to see. It really does, because I'm rooting for him. I want him to break that record so bad. I think it's great for hockey. It's just I never seen the Gretzkys. I never seen the Bossies. So, hearing stories of all that hockey history, it would be really cool to see that. Just when Gretzky passed Gordie Howe for all time in points, that was monumental, right? And I missed out on that. I think I was
here, 1989.
Yeah. So just crazy, and it would just be huge for hockey. So I'm rooting for him, and but it's not really looking good. So too bad.
Yeah. His lowest goal total in a full season over the course of his career was 32. He's had to deal with a lockout, 2 lockouts really, and COVID-shortened seasons. That has certainly hampered his chances. He stayed relatively healthy throughout his career, but he's on pace for 15 goals this year. That doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right. So a good opportunity for Alex Ovechkin. Maybe he pops a hat trick tonight.
That's all you need.
Why not? You got Columbus.
Yeah, no better team.
Yeah,
really.
There you go. Get off the schneid against the Jackets.
Yeah.
Florida welcomes St. Louis to town. You've got the Flyers hosting the Nashville Predators. Pittsburgh and Carolina down in the Steel City. Tampa welcomes the Golden Knights to town. That's an interesting matchup. I want to keep an eye on that game. That should be good. Potential for a lot of goals scored, high-end skill, and just 2 good teams going toe-to-toe. I know the Lightning, kind of like the Devils, haven't had the ideal season, meeting their potential, but they have, as we saw last week when the Lightning were here, they have some great players that can burn you. Kucherov having a monster season yet again. Also tonight, later on, Dallas welcomes the Vancouver Canucks. You got Minnesota hosting the Montreal Canadiens. The Avalanche get Jacques Martin. And the Ottawa Senators, again, Jacques Martin back behind the bench for the Sens. Anaheim welcomes the Calgary Flames to town. That's 8 o'clock our time. And then the late game will be San Jose and Arizona from the Shark Tank. Thousands, and I mean maybe 1,000 eyes on that. I'm just kidding. I'm being facetious. But not a game that everyone's got circled on their calendar or even on their daily agenda. For sure. Question of the night. Let's throw it out there one more time, and I'm going to get to some text here before we go to our first bit of audio and video. The question of the night is this: how many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? Brown, a healthy scratch tonight. Will he play tomorrow at MSG? Trev and I think it's fair to say both of us think he will play. I certainly do. Trev says no more than 1 or 2 games for Connor Brown. Rattle his cage, get him in, motivate him, and get him back in action. Maybe he needs that to spark his season. It has been a disappointment thoroughly for Connor Brown and the Oilers. 1 point through 23 games, -10, 4 penalty minutes. To his credit, the one thing he's contributed to, here's a positive, is the PK. Now, PK has been leaky the last couple of games. Allowed 2 the other night. 1 and 1 the previous 2 games, and it's looking to get back on track as well. All right, let's take a look at the nasty chat, see what's going on there. Pickard should be favored over Schmidt. Good evening, nasties from VR Montenegro. What did I miss? VR Montenegro, you're all over it. You didn't miss anything. This one from Coyote Steve says, Tommy, sorry if you said it already, but is Gleason going to get in the lineup? Not anticipating it, Coyote Steve, tonight, but we shall see. If there's anything at warm-up that indicates that he's good to go, we will point that out to you and update you. Jenna says Brown is going to get Zach Kassian and go from press box to top line, isn't he? I hope not. That doesn't seem like a logical way to go about it, but you never know. You never know. This one from Yeg Sparky says, Tommy, thanks for the pregame show. Sure hoping the Oil can go 15-15 going into the break. That would be good. It gives them kind of not a blank slate, but puts them into a much better spot, and I think it eases their mind and the tension. If they're below 500, I think 15-15, you can feel like you've climbed out of the hole. Now you got to kick it into another gear and make some hay for sure. Dane McAllister says, Holloway coming back or no? Dane, not till at least after Christmas. We know that he is skating already. He is on the trip with the team. And the last time Chris Knobloch discussed Dylan Holloway, he said that they're going to ramp things up after Christmas. He'll get into some practices with the club. Probably go on that California portion of this road trip, quote unquote. And then they'll see where that lower body injury is after that. So maybe not even till the new year, but he's making progress. So that's the good thing. Let's go into the inbox, 780-218-9999. And let's get to a few texts here. Big Uke says, tonight and tomorrow. Big Uke says, tonight and tomorrow for sure. Then Ernie isn't a liability. Game 1 after the break. Reevaluate on the Cali road trip. That's in regard to the question of the night. Big Uke also adds in, I like the early games. Gives me something to listen to on the drive home. Big Uke, appreciate it. Big Uke, are you TuneIn or our audio stream? Because we're finding a lot of people are switching over to TuneIn from our straight-up audio stream. Both work, but everyone I've spoken with says, for the most part, TuneIn, less interruptions or glitches. Like if you're listening on your phone, your smartphone, and another app fires up or something like that, it doesn't get interrupted. So TuneIn, I've actually switched over to TuneIn, and it has worked well for me. Coach Mike, hello, Coach Mike. Coach Mike says, Tommy, does an Oiler veteran need to make a Devon Toews type comment publicly, or do you think it is being said privately in the dressing room? Coach Mike, Devon Toews, if you didn't catch it with the Avs, kind of called out his team saying guys are playing like they think they're playing well when really they're not. I'm paraphrasing, and that is the gist of what he said. You know what, Coach Mike? I think when the team was in the midst of that 2-9-1 run would have been the right time for it. They were trying to stay positive. There were a few moments where they brought up the lackluster performances. They were discombobulated. They were a mess in their own zone. If this losing streak continues and they continue to make mistakes similar to what they did earlier in the season, kind of like they did against the Florida Panthers, where they were at times a bit of a mess in their own zone, if they're bad on the special teams like they were the other night on Long Island, if we're seeing this turn into a bit of a habit, then yeah, call them out. And I remember Warren Fogle, of all people, last year. They lost, I think, in Colorado, somewhere, something like that. And it was somewhere around the same time as the part of the season we're in right now, around 30 games. And it was Warren Fogle, of all people, that made a statement and kind of called it as it was. And I don't know if it really resonated with the rest of the group, but I know that fans appreciated it. So I don't think just yet, Coach Mike. But if this losing continues, if they find way to blow games in the next two, and then especially if it goes into California and they piss away points, then yeah, something should be said. But they have a chance to stop the bleeding tonight. If that happens, then no. I think they don't need to go through the Devon Toews calling the team out type of scenario. But that was kind of startling because the Avs are a good team. They still have championship pedigree. They are third in the Central. They just got passed by Winnipeg last night. However, they are 4-5-1 in their last 10. So maybe creeping towards that, Coach Mike, but I don't think it's there yet. That's just my opinion. Big Dave says, best of luck to Matt on the surgery. Big Dave Awanik, I'm sure, appreciates that. Vance Van Vandervan, hello, Vance Van Vandervan says, I'd hand Connor Brown a brick of X-Lax chocolate and tell him you're sitting 10 games, the same amount he had to play to get his bonus. Then tell him every square you eat knocks one game off, then see how dedicated he really is. Oh, Vance Van Vandervan, you continue to outdo yourself. You continue to outdo yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Do we have a text of the show? That would be it.
Let's get that sponsored.
Yeah, that's money.
Vance Van Vandervan. Bravo, sir. Bravo. This one from Fat Dan says, I have to say, I'm loving the Connor Brown scratch. He's going to come back hungry and score that goal. Fat Dan, good evening. Good to hear from you. Joe Not Exotic says, I did make the switch over to TuneIn. Tommy, we need a little Pickard magic tonight, baby. Let's go, Oil. Joe Not Exotic, good. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback on the TuneIn versus just the straight-up audio stream off of our website. Both work. Both are the same quality of audio. It's just TuneIn, I think, is a little smoother on the app side of things. And I know a lot of vehicles come with TuneIn. And a lot of, I think, smart TVs, Owanik was telling me, also have the TuneIn app. So it was a big get for us. And I think we're going to be announcing more partnerships and platforms in the new year that we are going to be on moving forward. So that's how we do it on this station. We are on as many platforms as possible. How you ingest our show, whether you watch it on YouTube, whether you listen on our stream on our website or tune in, or soon to be other platforms, totally up to you. Just not on the old dial, as they say. 780-218-9999. Question of the night. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box and why? Appreciate all of those who have already chimed in. We will get to more of those as we continue on through the pregame show. We do have Amanda Stein coming up in about 12 or 13 minutes from NJD.TV. She'll get us up to speed on these Devils, who we saw 11 days ago. And then Matt Kassian will join us for Game Changers, as always brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Just after 5 p.m. All right, let's go inside the Oilers locker room. Trev, I think I saw you teed up. You got the new, fresh coach's audio. You want to get to that?
Yes, I do.
All right.
This is Chris Knobloch right before the game tonight.
Emerging as one of the best talents in the world right now. What kind of a challenge does he and the rest of this Devil team pose for you guys?
Yeah, their team has a lot of speed and a lot of skill, and if we sit back and give them a little time and space, they're going to make plays. So, it's very important that we're moving our feet and eliminating space to just so they can't make those plays. And if we're passive and sitting back and just protecting the middle of the ice, that they're skilled and they will make plays. So it's really important that our checking legs are there tonight.
You're on the road. How different is it for you? I mean, we haven't seen that much of you just in terms of not having, the last change in terms of sort of some coaches like it. Like Todd McClellan's talked about the fact that he likes to establish who's going to be out there. He's got the first option. Your thoughts on that, especially given the depth of this team at forward?
It's so much easier when we're playing on the road. You just get to flow and you're not having to worry about line matches. And if a team is worried about line matches, you can also control the line matches by just sending out who you want out there. And if they want to keep you away from a checking line, you put down a checking line out for a defensive face-off, and it takes away their offensive line for those key situations. So but it's also easier for the players and the coaches just being able to, when you're on the road, just rolling and having the guys the next line up mentality, which just makes it a lot easier.
Evander Kane basically missed every practice for about 2 weeks. He appears to be healthier, 3 straight practices. Just a thought on what you're hoping to get out of him. He had a stretch where he had 8 goals in 8 games and has just had the one over the last 8.
Yeah, no, obviously every player's going to go through streaks of hot and cold, and right now he's battling, not being 100%. He was able to play, and he was playing through some stuff, but as you know, anytime players fighting through something, it takes a little bit of toll on you. You don't have quite the same step, you don't have the same jump, and then if you're not practicing, you lose your feel for the puck. I believe he's starting to get back to his old self and is going to contribute. I think we need some goal scoring and getting guys around the net, and I think nobody exemplifies that type of play as much as Evander. So, I think we'll see some strong play from him.
Yesterday you had Connor Brown not in the lineup. Is he officially out for tonight's game?
Yeah, no, Connor's not playing tonight. Not necessarily that he's been awful. I think he's been doing a lot of good things. Unfortunate, a lot of goalposts. He's been key on the penalty kill, but where we are right now, and a lot of the guys, we are going through a 3-game losing streak. We've our third and fourth line guys, especially our fourth line guys, who have been typically the guys that we've been pulled out of lineup. have been playing really well. And it's tough to take those guys out of the lineup because they don't deserve it. They deserve to play, and they've been contributing to our team play. I think this is a good opportunity for Connor to watch a game and get reset, because I think a lot of Connor, I think he's a good hockey player, and we've got a lot of hockey to play, and he'll be a big part of that.
You may have addressed this yesterday, but Brown did a real good job on the New Jersey, and the Rangers have the best power plays in the league. He did a real good job against Jack Hughes on zone entries, on the power play thought process, and when he was out there in PK. What are you looking at in terms of who replaces him maybe in the pairing with Janmark and that second grouping that comes out after Ryan and Nugent Hopkins?
Well, in PK forecheck, probably our two best anglers or F1 forecheckers are probably Brown and Janmark. And Brown and Janmark have been together. Janmark's been pretty much staying back in our 1-3 formations, standing up at the blue line. Probably make that change where Janmark's getting back to being that F1, that angler, which he's very good at. And we'll be using Adam Ernie a little bit more for that penalty kill. Probably a little more responsibilities from Fogle and McLeod, but Adam will be used a little bit tonight.
Chris, just going back to Evander Kane, what's your role in helping a player trying to get back to his usual scoring self?
Just a lot of encouraging them what they did to be successful. Trying to remind them, give them reminders of, getting around the net, how they can find soft ice, how can they present their stick and not get tied up. But a lot of it is just confidence and feeling it. And when goal scorers have scored a goal and are feel confident they can score goals, they usually come. And when they're not, then there's a little bit of just pressure on themselves and kind of forcing the game a little bit. I just want to let them feel to play the game and let it come to them.
All right, there is Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch confirming that Connor Brown will indeed be a healthy scratch tonight. Question of the night is, how many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? 780-218-9999. Love to hear from you as we progress through the evening, getting set for puck drop about an hour from now. Let's go to the nasty chat, where I also want to see your replies and thoughts on the Brown situation. This one from Greg's Google says, every time I hear Connor Brown's name, I think of Charlie Brown. All right. Joel says, when I hear Brown, I get triggered. And then Deskra says, Brown is just on the 06 Parka. Brown is just on the 06 Pekka arc. It's all right. Deskra, I've been saying that for a couple weeks. I hope he is, for the sake of everybody, because that would sort of redeem himself if he could come up big down the stretch. And in the playoffs, Mike Pekka did that almost 20 years ago for the Oilers. Didn't have a great regular season and then picked it up in the postseason on what was a very exciting run for the Edmonton Oilers to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. Hey guys, just curious, was there a particular reason you didn't do the AM radio route, or is it just cost? Cost is part of it. That's from Matt. Also, the AM radio route is it's not where everything's going. Really quickly, as an aside, I was watching, I bring this up, I was watching one of those like reaction videos on YouTube where it was a guy from the States watching a Tragically Hip, or listening to a Tragically Hip song. He listened to Grace 2. And this guy's like a hip-hop guy, and he's like, he read this like whole spiel he got from one of his subscribers and said, hey, I'd love to get your reaction to this song. And up here in our AF or FM rock station, this song is still played, even though it's 20, 30 years old. And the guy's like, damn, you guys still listen to radio in Canada? And I was like, oh, kind of alarming, because we were just on the radio, the traditional radio. That's kind of why, Matt. It's just, this is an easier platform and has a better reach, and it's the way of the future, basically. So, and you can watch and listen. So I think it sums it up.
Exactly. evolution of media. Everything
Yeah.
changes, right? We're shifting gears. The reach is huge. This is definitely what's in, and we're the first to do it, which is we're like in Edmonton
Like
pretty
full
well.
on
So
station.
yeah, so that's pretty cool, and we cannot wait for what's next.
Husson, Winnipeg, Sekeres and Price in Van. I think Donnie and Daly a little bit in Van as well. Kind of did it, but it's small. It's not like full-on programming the way we have. And we're getting a lot of texts saying, and messages from people in the industry when we launch this saying, hey, a lot of people are watching you to see how this does, because the fear is that that's where everyone's going from radio, like where we were. Matt, I hope that answers your question. But it's been good. We've been able to launch our own beer, and it's been restocked across the province. If you haven't had a chance to check out the 6 O'Clocker Lager, you can go to Sobeys and Safeway's liquor stores. Old Redbeard himself, Scott Laurie from Sobeys Safeway Liquor, said that the restock went out a day early. It was supposed to go out tomorrow, but they have been resupplied in time for the Christmas holiday season. So if you're looking to get a little bit of 6 O'Clocker Lager, you can do so now. And big thank you to the good folks at Alley Cat. That is the second batch to go out, because the first one sold out, and I hear the third one is in the process of happening, as well as the first kegs of 6 O'Clocker Lager. So that's something we couldn't do back at TSN 1260. We tried to do a beer a couple of times, got caught up in red tape. They said no. And when we launched Edmonton Sports Talk, Ellie Cat and Dusty and all of us said, let's do a beer. And now we're into the 6 O'Clocker Lager. All right, 780-218-9999 if you want to get in on the conversation, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, hit us up in the nasty chat. Tom Gazzola, YouTube Trev with you. Matt Kassian will be by in about 20 minutes' time for Game Changers, Oilers and Devils. Of course, the Oilers knocking off the Devils on the 10th, 4-1 here in Edmonton. We are going to go to New Jersey right away with Amanda Stein. She's ready to go. Amanda Stein's ready to go from NJD.TV. Let's go to Amanda Stein. The Canuck in New Jersey. Hello, Amanda. How are you? Thank you for joining us. What's going on in the New York area, and specifically in Newark, New Jersey right now?
Well, thank you for having me. I always love, being in front of my Canadian audience.
Yeah.
I'm from Canada, from Montreal. I've been here, which is crazy, 7 years now. So
wow.
I have that New Jersey in me as well. I know, it's pretty nuts.
Did you get the accent? It doesn't sound like you have the accent yet.
No, it's so funny. I don't. I haven't. But then people here, they're like, you don't sound Canadian. And I'm like, well, maybe that's because I'm from Quebec.
Right,
but I also don't sound French. It's like sort of this whole amalgamation of who I am. But that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. I know what I'm talking about, and that's all that matters.
Very true. Always you know what you're talking about. But things are good in New Jersey. I know team-wise, it hasn't gone as expected. I guess a lot of times when people talk about the Devils, they say, you know what, they haven't really reached their potential this season. When you hear that, in your mind, like what's led to it? And you look at the record, 16, 12, and 2, and you go, well, it's not bad.
It's not. And I think it's sort of a twofold thing. There were major expectations that were set up last year because of the fact that they went on that run that they did. And then the other part is, other teams now know what to expect for New Jersey. I mean, let's be honest. Last year, they took a lot of people by surprise. Last November, they had a 13-game win streak. That really sets you up for a lot of success. And when things aren't going well last year, they had like a 6-game losing streak last December. No one's really talking about that because they had that 13-game win streak. So now when you're not able to kind of put all those wins together, I mean, really, they've had trouble even stringing 3 wins together. Things are a little more clear in terms of what people will criticize. This is a team that is still young, and I know we've heard that a lot. It is a bit of those, 2-step forward, 1-step back kind of thing. But really the thing for this team has been the consistency in a couple of aspects. At the beginning of the year in particular, the defense was really trying to sort itself out. 2 major pieces are gone from last season in Damon Severson and Ryan Graves, and they are 2 veteran guys. You throw in then a lot of younger guys who are rookies and some just in their second year. That's a lot of learning to do on the fly as big pieces of the puzzle. So there was that part of it. The defense was trying to figure itself out. the goaltending hasn't been as strong. And then ultimately, when you don't have those two things clicking, it doesn't really matter how, powerful your offense is, because if you can't keep the puck out of your net for whatever reason it is, it's going to be tough every night.
Yeah, sounds familiar to those that follow the Oilers, keeping the puck out of their net. Yeah, well, that one cuts deep. Amanda Stein with us from NJD.TV. All right, you mentioned the back end. Dougie Hamilton on the IR, torn pectoral. How much has that kind of hampered the back end as well?
It's so interesting because Dougie is one of the veteran guys. He eats up a ton of minutes. But when he went out, the team called up Shimon Nemitz, and it was his first NHL call-up, the number 2 pick overall in 2022, if I have that right. And this was his opportunity, and he has really seized it. Now, don't get me wrong. The team still misses Dougie Hamilton for his presence, who he is, and the things he can do. But because Shimon has come in and played so well as a young rookie who's only, a couple games into his NHL career, it hasn't been as glaring as a whole as it would have been had they had to do a little more patchwork. So It's a blessing in disguise in the sense that we're now seeing the next part of the future of the defense. And when Dougie is capable of coming back, it's not Shimon who's going to end up losing his job, so to speak, in the lineup, right? It's sort of going to trickle down a bit more than that because he's really proven that he's capable and very able to play at this level. So, hopefully we don't know exactly when Dougie will be back, but he'll be rested at that point. So that's a good thing for this team, especially with so many young guys on the back end, right? They've got plenty of energy. They can keep going.
Hamilton's still a very good defenseman. Incredible how long he's been in the league for, and basically made an impact from day one in the National Hockey League. Okay, another injury that affected this team, and I know we talked about, they have a lot of offensive weapons, a lot of quick, speedy guys, but a great pickup last year, I thought, when they got Timo Meier out of San Jose, 40-goal man last year. And Amanda, he got hurt last month, missed 9 games, hasn't picked up a point in the games since he's returned, or he missed 7 and he's played 9. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just what's going on with Timo Meier as he tries to get his game back, and how much or how healthy do you think he is right now in terms of getting close to 100%?
I mean, it's a really good question. He certainly can't be at 100%. I mean, just the way he has not been able to score, contribute in the ways that he's used to. But it's not that he's hurt. I think that he's still trying to catch up from how much time he left off, particularly when it comes to his type of game. We don't know too much about his injury that happened beforehand, but what Lindy Ruff has said, I think he said it late last week, was he doesn't feel that Timo is quite up to speed yet. And he doesn't mean that by how fast he can go, but just sort of his ability to play right now. And he'll get there. Yep. He'll get there, and he's getting his chances. But you're right. He came in as a guy who was a 40-goal scorer. The fans were super excited to have him. But the other thing we have to remember is that right before his injury, he was really starting to heat up. He was on a three-game point streak, or rather goal streak. So it is there. It's still there. And I think we forget sometimes. It does take a while to get back into it. And it's not for a lack of working hard. You know what I mean? He really is a very hard worker. He's had some good games, but it's that game of inches, and he knows it, right? The one thing he said today was that, if he's not contributing offensively, he knows that he has to do the defensive side of the game. And yes, he's been in the minuses this year, probably a little more than he would like, but certainly he still is and will be going forward a huge piece of the puzzle, because there is no other player like Timo on this team in terms of the offensive talent and the size and the physical ability that he has. So, I mean, am I worried? Absolutely not. Is it tough to see him go through that? Certainly. But again, not worried at all, because here's a consummate pro, a guy who we know can score tons of goals in this league. It'll come.
Timing and rhythm. We hear guys coming off of injuries talking about that, and Meier, dealing with that. So it's another case of that situation, it seems like, and still 5 goals, 6 assists this season so far, as Meier looks to get off the schneid after returning from injury. Amanda Stein joining us now from NJD.TV. Since the Devils and Oilers, Amanda, locked horns back on the 10th. That was a 4-1 decision in favor of the Oilers. The Devils bounced back with a couple of nice wins. They get one against Boston. They beat Columbus. And then in the last couple, they dropped them, one in OT and one to Anaheim. What were the factors in those losses in the last two that the Devils and Lindy Ruff probably wants to hone in on to fix going into tonight's game?
So I would say the Anaheim game was on the second half of a back-to-back on the father's trip here at Prudential Center. Lindy would never use it as an excuse. The players would never use it as an excuse, but they looked tired. I mean, you could tell that they looked tired. They didn't have that same amount of energy. And so when you don't have that, you try and cheat the game. You're making those defensive mistakes. You're making plays that aren't really there and kind of hoping that they are. The biggest problem that the team has had in the last two games is their puck management. Whether it's making an ill-advised pass, again, like I said before, like trying to make a play that isn't there that you're kind of hoping is there. It's all those little things where they're doing the losing themselves. They're shooting themselves in the foot by the mistakes that they're making. And that's the word that we hear from Lindy Ruff a ton. The puck management. When they're losing games, it's because they are the ones that have put that on themselves by the way they're playing. So certainly that's going to be a huge effort, by the full team tonight, because the Oilers and the Devils are very similar in that they thrive off of the rush. They thrive off of, the turnovers that they make the other teams concede. So it'll be really interesting battle to see how these two very similar types of teams who like that run and gun and head right up the ice. I'm very interested to see how these two teams clash.
Yeah, all of those things that you pointed out that the Devils have been to their detriment and cost them points. I was like, yeah, the Oilers do that. Yeah, they do that. Yes, they shoot themselves in the foot.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're very identical.
Yeah, but the skill and the speed is there. Okay, you kind of alluded to it briefly off the top. You talked about the goaltending in New Jersey. Lots of chatter about the goaltending here in Edmonton, understandably so, but we're going to see Akira Schmid in goal again today. He played in that game here in Edmonton back on the 10th. How has this Schmid-Vanecek tandem kind of worked, and are the Devils going to be looking to maybe make a move, or do they hope that they have something here between these two to make it go for them?
Well, it hasn't gone as smoothly as last year, I guess, is probably the best way to put it right now. The way Vitek was playing last year was kind of lights out. It was the best season of his career. And Akira's still pretty young when it comes to goaltending in this league. I mean, everyone would say it. They would tell you that the goaltending has not been up to par. It's not been where they've wanted it to be, especially when you're dealing with a defense that's trying to work things out. So I think it's sort of this amalgamation of what we were talking about earlier. The defense, it's like neither of them can cover up for one another.
Right.
It's starting to happen. But I think that's probably been one of the biggest issues there. Will they go looking for other goaltending? I mean, look, Tom Fitzgerald, the general manager, he's always got his eyes open. And I know that's sort of a cop-out to kind of say, but it really is the truth. But we'll see what happens. Right now, this is what their goaltending is, and it's what's going to have to sort itself out right now.
Yeah, it's not a sexy goaltending market out there either. So
no, and it's like a busy goaltending,
yes.
Right? Like so many teams need goaltenders, so the prices rise. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Amanda Stein with us now as we get set for the Oilers and the Devils. Amanda, lots of speed and skill, like you talked about, a lot of similarities between the Oilers and the Devils. What are we going to see at the Prudential Center tonight, do you think?
A lot of exactly what you just said.
Bring it on.
A lot of speed, a lot of skill. And I mean, I think it's going to be a really fast game. Watch now, it's going to be like the most boring game of the year.
I hope not. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood, exactly. But you've got a guy like, obviously you guys know Connor McDavid, Jack Hughes. They have very similar, they're different, but very similar in how they play. So I think this is a big stage for everyone. It's on ESPN down here in the U.S., so big stage. We'll see what happens. I'm really looking forward to it, though, because when you got two of the best in the game in McDavid and Jack Hughes, can't go wrong.
No, absolutely not. Bring on the fireworks. However, Luke Hughes will be trying to stop Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I've just talking to people around the Devils when the team was in town here a couple weeks ago. Some were saying that there's some chatter that like Luke Hughes' ceiling might be pushing Jack's or even surpassing it. Is that kind of crazy? Is that a crazy take, or where could Luke Hughes go?
I think so, because they're so different.
Yeah.
Like they're so different. It's like it's really comparing apples to oranges because
that's what
one's
I thought.
a forward, one's a defenseman. Like, it doesn't really compute that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to disagree with that. They both have incredibly high ceilings, and we have to remember that Luke is just in his first full year, so he's got a ways to go. And he's been highly, highly impressive. And just like all Hughes brothers, I mean, the sky's the limit for these guys.
Yeah, two tremendously talented players. Like you said, apples to oranges. And that's the first thing that came to mind when it was brought up. I was like, wait a sec. One's a defenseman and like relatively big. The other one's
make sense.
A fleet-footed, smooth-skilled, smaller centerman. I'm like, I don't see it. But if that's what both of them are, if the young guy is going to be better than his older brother, that's amazing if that can happen. But two great players, lots of excellent players on both teams, and I think we're in for a treat. Amanda, thanks for hopping on this evening. Enjoy the game. Please send our regards to Champa, Blaine Sayers, Sam Kassian, Catherine.
I got the crew.
Yeah, the whole crew.
I got the crew.
They're awesome. We appreciate all of them and yourself, and have a great holiday season, and hopefully see you somewhere down the road this season.
Sounds great. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
There is Amanda Stein from NJD.TV. Yes, former, I guess, colleague of ours at she's been at the Devils for 7 years. I got to TSN 5 years ago. But we crossed paths before that when she was in Montreal covering the Habs. Doing great work over there at NJD.TV. Check her out. And I think it was Dell pointed out, she has great penmanship. She does the lines, writes them out, and then tweets a picture of them instead of tweeting and texting.
That's what everyone was saying.
Yeah,
I seen the chat. I was like, well, what are they talking about? Oh, that's cool. Jenna also was saying that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that
Maybe
out.
it was Jenna who
It's
brought
just
that
so
up.
satisfying. Oh, people that have great penmanship. I love it.
Respect.
Mad respect.
Mad respect. Huge thank you to Mark Champa and Amanda Stein for joining us and helping us get you set for the Oilers and the Devils tonight. Should be a good one. It could be a lot of goals scored. Just saying. I'm just saying. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us, or you can get us at us in the nasty chat. Let's see what's going on via the text line. Live afternoon programming in the new year, asks Kurt on a grader. We're working on it. We're working on it, Kurt on a grader. Question of the night is in regard to Connor Brown. How many games would you keep Connor Brown in the press box, and why? Matt also says, I do love the video stream. That's a great addition. Keep it up. We will try. Fat Dan says, if Cass doesn't focus on Brown as a game changer, I'll have none of it. Sitting to let any other player literally do anything whatsoever. That's the ticket, Fat Dan. And then Coach Mike says, Tommy, last year, 18 and 93 were pretty effective on the PK, chipped in with a few shorthanded goals. Why do you think the Oilers went away with that pair? Maybe to rest them up a little bit. That would be my first answer to that, or the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe they want to give guys more responsibility to get them involved with the game as well, because that was kind of a thing, going to the well too much. We hear it about Leon and Connor, but maybe you can extend it to Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. What are you giggling about over there?
Okay, sorry. So this was just backpedaling a little bit, but I had to look her up on Twitter, and the first one I saw, she had they were just getting back from the dad's trip
This
or
is
whatever.
Amanda.
Yeah, this is Amanda. She had all the dads write their sons' names. And it's just pretty bad writing.
Is it a mess?
Yeah, it's such a mess.
Funny.
So I'm like, oh, wow, I don't know if this is supposed to be good. But then I scroll down a little bit. Wow, yeah, that's very, very nice.
She has
very neat writing.
Yeah, it's become a thing that people know her for, but she's very thorough, good reporter, and doing a great job, as well as all of my former colleagues who are now with the Devils. Champa was my boss with Oilers TV. Blaine Sayers was one of my shooters, producers. And then Chris Westcott, I know Oiler fans would probably remember Westcott. He was the head writer and also would fill in for me on camera. He just left the Devils, was actually doing play-by-play for them filling in play-by-play on radio, as well as just reporting. And Quesky moved back to Oklahoma City with his lovely wife, Lauren, where she's from and where he spent his formative years. So that was a bit of a surprise, but they have a great crew over there, and a big thank you to all of them for helping us out these last couple games where the Oilers have played the Devils to give us that extra insight into what should be a highly entertaining game. It is the Oil Stream pregame show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. You can join the conversation, as always, 780-218-9999. And if you're watching on YouTube, please smash the thumbs up button. We appreciate that very, very much as we move through the evening. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so as well. Just you'll get that notification when we're live, like we are, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to at least 1 p.m. And then Oilers game days, we are live at least an hour and a half before each game. And then we got you covered on the post-game show as well. Okay, I see our game analyst, Matty Kassian, is good to go. Let's get the big man on here. Matt Kassian joining us now as we get you set for tonight's action. And it is Game Changers with Cass, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. He's community-driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. And on his Instagram yesterday, there he is. There's Damon on his Damon Bunting water bottle. I love how Cass, he just has that handy. Cass probably has like stacks of it in his garage. I'm guessing.
I got a case or two somewhere.
You got a case or two. But Damon yesterday had a giveaway in conjunction that he announced it with Dusty here in our studios. Tickets to an Oilers game, as well as a bunch of EST swag. So I don't know if that contest closed. It was like the 5th day of Christmas, I believe. But check him out, Damon Bunting Real Estate on Instagram, and he's got a bunch of giveaways there. Cass, what's going on? How you doing tonight, pal?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So my middle daughter's been home from school all week, pretty banged up, sick, and I think today was the day the pestilence spread. So I'm fighting it. I'm fighting it a little bit today. I got my echinacea tea, and I'm holding on. And Gager is warming up his vocal cords just in case it does fully catch up with me, and I gotta go under partway through this one. So I'm gonna try to do it. Gonna try to make it through. Certainly good for pregame. I'm excited to watch this one. Yeah. After 3 losses in a row. So I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna give it my all. Put it all out there, as it were. There's not much to save it for with Christmas break coming up here. So I'm pouring out Tommy and just ready to go for as much as I can be. Anyways.
Cass, you are a trooper, and Gager being ready to rock like a good backup does, just like an old pro, and we appreciate that.
It's a 1A, 1B, Tommy. He's not a true. He's 1A, 1B.
Well, we appreciate both of you, and that's mighty fine of Gager to do that. I think you're going to be okay. The echinacea should be good. I like those emergency, either the gummies or the packets, and they're like immune boosters. I like the gummies because the kid in me loves just like gummy bears. But we would always, did you guys have that when you were with the Sens, or maybe even with the Wild? They would, especially during cold and flu season, you get on the plane, you're on the road, and there'd be 2 packages for everybody of emergency to hit before the flight.
It was, you know what's actually bigger than the emergency was just straight up vitamin D. Really? Especially playing in Canada, Minnesota too. Both now not in Houston, didn't have that problem in Houston, not down in Texas. Yeah. But in Canada, in Ottawa, that was a big thing, is they were forcing vitamin D down your throat just because you just don't get enough in the winter. So okay, all right,
clip it.
Yep.
Game Changers.
Completely accidental.
Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Fat Dan texted in and said, if Cass doesn't focus on Brown as a game changer, I'll have none of it. Well, Fat Dan, lucky for you, number 1 on Game Changers tonight is down goes Brown. Cass?
Yeah, or up, rather, to the press box. Wow. I guess we shouldn't be surprised, really, if someone's coming out of the lineup. There's not really an easier choice than Connor Brown. 1 point this season, 1 called back goal, and 1 goal post. Yeah. So it has not performed at all. Really, hasn't looked overly threatening. He's done some okay things on the penalty kill. Like, he's been a part of that, and he's done all right. But it's not like he brings a physicality. It's not like he brings a blazing speed and forces a ton of turnovers. He just is kind of existed this year. Yes. And you're paying him an awful lot to just exist. And you're maybe trying to get a little bit of a different look after you have lost now a couple games in a row. So Brown out of the lineup. And, the chorus of people, and even earlier today on the podcast that were chiming in, that were just frustrated that Brown played that 10th game because he didn't do anything in the 9th. And it wasn't like it isn't like he has gotten much or really any better in terms of actual production since then. And so you're burning up a whole swath of cap space and putting yourself in an even tougher spot next season. And I understand why people are frustrated with his play right now. Now he gets a night to sit in the press box and watch. I've always felt that tactic seems to work better with younger players.
Yeah.
Like they're going to go, you know what, you'll be all right. You've been okay. Go sit in the press box and watch one, and then you'll come back and you'll be back in.
Right.
I don't know with where Connor Brown is and how he's playing right now and missing the entirety of last season, really. Like, Tommy, I don't know if this benefits him. Like, does it reek of at some point? So let's say Adam Ernie comes out and scores a goal tonight and has a really good game, and the Oilers win. Brown's probably out tomorrow, is he not?
I would think so.
Honestly. And if the Oilers win tonight and they win tomorrow, he's probably not in that first game back. Is that a fair assumption?
I would add if Ernie has a second really nice game where it's
you think so?
This group is. I think so.
But what about not even Ernie? What about Gagne? Like, if Gagne comes out and has a really good game?
Well, Gagne's been I feel like when Chris Knobloch first got here, Gagne was the odd man out. And I don't know if it was a foot speed thing or if Gagne wasn't doing what Knobloch was asking and didn't adjust to whatever tweaks Knobloch had made to the team's systems. I don't know what it was. But Gagne, since he's found his rhythm under Chris Knobloch, I think has been pretty steady and consistent. And he's been
for a fourth-line guy, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. And like for Connor Brown, Cass, and I understand talking to players, being around them, traveling with them, the older guys that have been around, when they get scratched, it more, from what I gather from them, pisses them off, and it annoys them, and some take it well, others bitch and complain, and I've sat with some in the press box, and they've bitched and complained to me, and you sympathize with them, you try to. Yes, I know. You've done this. You can do. I've seen you do that. You try to help them a little bit, or you be that ear to listen that listens to what they have to say because they just want to vent. But in this case with Connor Brown, where it's been so rough, like I think of it as like a rattling in the cage, and maybe the coaching staff said to him, listen, man, we got to sit you out. Take a step back. Watch the game from up top. I know that it's cliche and guys don't really get anything from watching the game up top, and they always say that they do, but just you're not.
They never do.
You're not going to be a part of the game tonight. There's a reason why. You know why. We don't need to explain it to you. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. And when you do get back in, maybe it's tomorrow at MSG, we need you. Because we need to be a solid 3-line team with a 4th line that can give you some okay minutes, and we need you to be way better than you have been. Like, that's how I kind of look at it, and I could be totally off, but that's my take on it, Cass. It might be ridiculous, but you tell me.
No, not totally ridiculous, and you are right. Different players respond to it different ways. So we'll have to see how Brown responds to it. I do just feel that older players, generally speaking, especially ones that in the past have been goal scorers, like guys that have played and got an opportunity and played on the power play. And maybe it's been enough of a challenge this year that he's not in that mentality right now, Brown anyways. But I find those guys, when they get set, that's who gets real pouty real quick. You guys that are more the role player guys, generally speaking, they're a little bit easier in and out because they're just trying to do whatever they can. They're like, at least I'm in the press box and not in the AHL.
Yes.
So I'm here and I'm going to just keep grinding. And, maybe I'm going to complain at home. Maybe I'm going to complain to my agent, maybe, a couple guys that I'm close with, but I'm just going to, for the most part, keep my mouth shut and work because I don't want to cause problems. So we'll see how, and maybe they want to see how Brown responds. And maybe this is the last, we don't really have any other options to try to get him going. We've tried playing him with McDavid. We've tried playing him with Draisaitl.
Yeah.
We've tried playing him on the third line. We've tried playing him on the fourth line, and nothing is working. So yeah, I mean, after this, I don't know if there's much more they can do. So it'll be interesting to see. What would you put, Tommy, the percentage at of Connor Brown being put on waivers in the next 2.5 to 3 weeks?
I don't think it's high, Cass, because they don't have a lot. I mean, he's not giving you anything. He really isn't. And I try to be optimistic. Outside of the PK, 30%, maybe. Why? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a number on it. I think just based on the roster, it's going to be hard to send him down.
Yeah. Nobody's
part of
taking
it could,
him if you put him on waivers. Sorry, no one's taking him.
And part of it could depend on our good friend Jack Campbell, and if something were to materialize from that standpoint, where you are able to clear that contract out, now you have some space to say, okay, we can actually put him on waivers and try to send him down, and it's not as not as much of a pain having two guys down there. We just have one. So we'll see. I don't think it's an overly high chance at this point, but he's certainly written himself out of the lineup and out of the conversation of deserving of top 6 minutes or power play time or being that right-hand man to Connor McDavid, the guy that's on the wing, the consistent sniper that is just putting pucks in the net. And I mean, the tough thing, Tommy, for me is like we saw Patty Maroon, how many he put up with McDavid, and all he did was just skate to the net with his stick on the ice.
Yep.
All he did. It was like really simple game for him. Just give the puck to Connor, skate to the net with your stick on the ice, and he scored, what was it, like 26? 27?
I think it was.
27?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brown, hasn't managed to do that with McDavid or Draisaitl, hasn't managed to really do anything. So, yeah, it was high time he's out of the lineup.
Penner's Pancake says Brown can't finish. McLeod loves his perimeter. I'm not disagreeing with that. Coyote Steve Cass on the same subject says, Cass, in my opinion, Brown, Gagne, Hamlin are all AHL players on any NHL team except for Edmonton or San Jose. The lack of assets, in parentheses, core guys, all have no movement clauses, make upgrading this lineup almost impossible. What say you, Cass, to Coyote Steve there?
Yeah, well, Coyote Steve, I think the no move clauses, a few things I agree with, a few things I disagree with. What I strongly agree with, the no movement clauses make it extremely difficult to really upgrade it because it's very hard to move some of those core pieces out and move core pieces back in. Now, I think there's a lot of teams these days that are in that similar situation where there's lots of your high-end players. It's kind of like a foundational thing for most of them is they want a no movement clause, and they will take $500,000 less a year to bring down the AAV of their contracts to have that no movement clause, or modified no movement clause. So it absolutely factors into it. Now on to the Brown, Gagne, and Hamlin. Gagne he's still a fourth line player in the NHL, and I think we have seen that and see him around it enough. Now, is he a guy that on other teams would be in the lineup every night? Not necessarily. Like if you looked at Vegas, for example, like there are some teams he probably wouldn't be. I think it would be more than Edmonton and San Jose. You'd be more than Edmonton and San Jose as a regular. Connor Brown right now, I can't argue with you on that one because he's got 1 point.
Yeah, he's
playing top line minutes.
Yeah,
non-factor. So, yeah, he's probably an AHL player on most teams right now, barring the contract that kind of keeps him here. Hamlin.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I mean, he does. He brings like similar to Gagne. Like James Hamlin brings a pretty consistent game, and there's nights you don't see him a lot because he doesn't do a lot on special teams. Mm-hmm. But I found like he at least is always working. He at least is always working. Now, if we were to look and line him up against every other team in the league, yeah, some of them he's going to be an AHL player, some of them he's going to be an NHL player. But I think thus far he has shown, and more than Lavoie did when he was here,
Yep.
more than I think if they called Brad Malone up, more than he would show, he's shown that he can play at the NHL level, and he has the speed to do it, and he tries to play the right way to do it that way too. Now, if Brown were to be playing well, and Dylan Holloway gets healthy,
good point.
Could be a different story, and he could be out. But for now, he is an NHL player, and he's played well enough to be here. When they get healthy, we'll see.
Yeah. He's finding his footing in the National Hockey League. This is his opportunity. He seems to be working hard to stay here, and yeah, he's an AHL guy, but he's getting his shot, and the door was open to crack, and he's trying to burst through. And good for him for taking the minutes that he has gotten. He's got a couple of goals. He's got some points. He's been all right. He's made some plays. Doesn't shy away from the tough elements of the game, even though he's not the biggest guy. So, yeah, Coyote Steve, like, I understand where you're coming from, but I'll give Hamblin the benefit of the doubt, and he's a good story, good Edmonton kid too.
Yep.
Gagne, I think, has been a pleasant surprise. Brown, just it's not happening, and I hope he becomes the Michael Pekka of this year's team. Does it look like it's going to happen? No, not really, but you never know. Joaquin Gage via the nasty chat, by the way. Gager, love ya. Says, I'm going into my pregame stretching routine as we speak. I was made for this, Cass. I got you, man. That's from Joaquin.
Thanks, Gager. Love you, buddy. I appreciate it. I figured you were watching tonight, so when I fired you the message and you just sent me back a whole bunch of eggplant gifts, I was like, okay, he's probably good.
Good show today, too, by the way. Good two guys in the goalie with
that was good. A little heavy on the F1. But deservedly so.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Coyote Steve does add, thanks, Tommy and Cass, for the thoughts and previous question. He also adds, would you take a chance on Corey Perry? Really quickly, Cass, because we've got to move to number 2 here.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. I mean, you'd still need a lot more information, but no, at this point, no.
Corey Perry, the player, without the off-ice stuff.
Yeah, but there's too much off-ice stuff.
Off-ice stuff, it just makes it so much murkier. But, yeah, I understand the sentiment there, and he would fit a need. Number 2, Cass. Hoppenheimer. I like this one. It's kind of a Frankenstein term. Hoppenheimer. What do you got there?
Well, you know what? I wasn't even going for Frankenstein. I was going for like the Oppenheimer.
I know.
Like Oppenheimer.
Together.
And mashed it all together. I was trying to think of like what would be a good nickname for this line when they're going. But the boys are back together again. Dominant for the 8-game stretch. Dominant at times past the 8-game stretch, get broken up to try something different, to try to get Leon Draisaitl going, and it doesn't really work from a holistic perspective for the team. It doesn't really work. So trying to get back to creating a little bit of that magic, saying, okay, and even with Brown, he ties to Brown being out of the lineup. Okay, Brown comes out of the lineup. Ernie's going to solidify that 4th. Let's try to rejig this, our middle 6, to find something that maybe works. And let's let McDavid just get right back to that groove where they felt so good and so dominant for the last couple of weeks. So we have that line come back together again, Tommy, and I fully expect them to be dominant. A lot of young defensemen here on the New Jersey Devils. Now, some that skate pretty well, some that skate pretty well, but young defensemen and goaltending that is, I mean, if you're going to call the Oilers goaltending suspect, people do that. You have to call the New Jersey Devils goaltending suspect.
Yes.
You have not just youth, but inexperience between both of their goalies. And, maybe an opportunity for the big boys to put the boots to him a little bit here. Like that McDavid line in particular. I mean, you really have an opportunity, I think, against a team that really likes playing offensively in the New Jersey Devils. Like they love to jump. They love to push. They love to push the pace.
They're quick.
They do get in. They're fast. But when you can be fast back the other way against them, you can expose them, and you can expose those demon jumping up in the rush, and maybe create a little bit of doubt in the mind of their goaltender. So I think a big night for that top line. Want to see them get right back to that dominant, explosive play that we saw during the 8-game stretch.
Number 1 of game changers was down goes Brown. Number 2 was Hoppenheimer. Number 3, Matt Kassian, heading into tonight's game against the Devils. Get back that PK pop. When I read that, I was like, yep, I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's get Sticks back to protecting the dangerous lanes on the ice. Force the puck down the wall. Nothing on the back door.
Yeah.
Nothing on the back door. We saw that happen a whole bunch of times against the New York Islanders. And it can't happen. You can't, the Edmonton Oilers should not lose the special teams battle ever. Right? Like that should be such a rarity. And it kind of has been recently. And Knobloch talked about that a little bit. And I get that, where it's like, okay, this is maybe the outlier a little bit on that one, but they're penalty killing, the good games were more of an outlier than the overall number of poor games that the penalty kill has given them this year. So, to try to pull that average back together, let's have another really good night with it. Get back to those stops and starts again, and more than anything. And we saw, and I'm going to pick on Vinny Desharnais, who I think is a decent penalty killer and helps out the Oilers penalty kill. Yep. Just absolutely whiff on a pass. And I'm like, you moved your stick out of the way.
Yes.
Of that one.
Yes.
You moved your stick out of the way of that one. All you had to do was keep it there. Turn it into a little bit of a ramp to knock it in the air. So it just ramps up your stick and maybe goes, over the glass, or maybe it just chips to the wall, but it's safe over there. That's all you had to do. And you take a swing at it. And we always talk, penalty killers, we always talk about, and actually even on the power play, players like when you're in front of the net. And this is something to tell young players. So if you have, if you're either a young person that's playing hockey, or if you have a kid, a son or a daughter that's playing hockey or is just involved, and you're trying to get them to work on things, this is something that we talk about all the time and we would work on. It is way easier just to try to get a piece of something than try to pick something out of the air.
Yes.
Or knock something down.
Yep.
Or be just from a pure physics standpoint. Like if a puck's coming towards me this way across and I'm trying to bat it down like this and hit it down like this, that's a incredibly low likelihood play of, instead, puck's coming across like this. I guess there's whatever side, I don't know, coming across like this, yeah. And you just basically have a stick there to try to get a piece of it, in not in motion, not trying to swing at things. And it's the same thing a lot of times on penalty kill. Like I understand where penalty killers, and sometimes coaches and young coaches outside of the NHL, they do this sometimes, all the time. And I had some really, really good penalty killing coaches, some excellent penalty killing coaches, Kevin Constantine being the foremost. Now we can talk all day about the horrible other things that Kevin Constantine did and does. But as far as coaching the penalty kill, he was spectacular. Now he would say all the time, he's not a fan of wiggling your stick. You're not wiggling your stick back. And forth.
I hate the wiggle.
The wiggles. It's not a broom. The wiggles doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything. All you do is you all of a sudden take your stick out of like the lane, where it's like, well, no, if you have your hand ready to go and your stick planted in the lane it's supposed to, yeah, you can still push it either way. If you're wiggling it, well, that guy's, more often than not, they're going to wait for the wrong wiggle. And then the wrong wiggle goes and the puck opens up. And we see that happen often. And so for the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, I'm going to get back to that. So get rid of the wiggles. We saw the wiggles again last game. When they were playing well on the penalty kill, there wasn't a lot of that. There wasn't like, I don't know where to put my stick. It's over here. It's over here. It's over here. I don't know where to go with it. It was like, no, everyone's stick was in the right lane, typically protecting the middle of the ice, typically protecting the cross crease backdoor passes, because if you want to pass around the outside, be my guest. Do it all day. And if you start blasting from there, well, we'll try to block it, but that's a lower percentage play than going cross crease or a pass to someone streaking into the slot that we don't get a piece of. So get the sticks going again here, Tommy, and let's just shore up that PK again. Give yourself the best chance at winning this game you can.
I'll throw this one in there too. The shorty that they allowed when Bouchard came back, it was a terrible turnover by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, blind backhand pass, don't get me wrong, but Simon Holmstrom buries it, and you're watching Bouchard play it, and he's got the wiggles too, and instead of going down to take away the pass. And so when you said the wiggles, the broom sweeping movement, I was like, I don't like it. That also happened on the shorty that they allowed. -3 on special teams the other night. That's generally a recipe for disaster, and it was on Long Island. Cass, great stuff as always, my friend. You held up well. The voice seems to be all right. Rested up.
It's okay. I can feel it.
Yeah, get your vitamin D infusion or whatever works for you. And
go back to that.
See you
not rewind. Let's not back that joke up. Yeah.
I'll talk to you later, hopefully, Cass.
Yeah, okay, we'll see you.
That's Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Down Goes Brown was number 1. Hoppenheimer, number 2. And Get Back That PK Pop. Sorry, dirty jokes. He started it. Did you even catch? You didn't catch it.
No, I'm kind of mad at myself. I missed that one.
It's just Cass inadvertently pulling a strutty. Let's just put it that way. And poor guy. But hopefully he's good to go for the post-game show. If not, sounds like Gager is standing by. Gager, appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Okay, let's quickly go around the National Hockey League, look at out-of-town scores. 12 games on the schedule tonight, including the Oilers and the Devils. And then I'm going to read some texts, and we'll say good night for now after the texts, and we'll watch the game. And then, of course, we'll all be back for the Oil Stream post-game show. After 10 minutes of play, it is 1-1 in Buffalo between the Sabres and the Leafs. No score yet between the Caps and the Jackets. 12 minutes in there. No score, obviously, because the puck's about to drop in Florida between the Blues and the Panthers. You've got the Flyers up 1-0 on Nashville midway through the first. Pittsburgh, same thing over Carolina in Pitt. No score between the Lightning and the Golden Knights midway through the first. Edmonton, New Jersey gets going in about 10 minutes, and then you got the Dallas Stars hosting the Vancouver Canucks. Minnesota welcomes Montreal to town. The Avalanche get Jacques Martin and the Ottawa Senators. The Anaheim Ducks get a visit from the Calgary Flames at 8 o'clock our time. And then the late game, 8:30 p.m., San Jose welcomes in those big, bad Arizona Coyotes. Let's get to some texts here. Scalding Gord says, Devils are fast, but kind of soft team with iffy goaltending. Oilers need this one. Please wish Mama Gazzola a wonderful holiday season. Scalding Gord, I'm sure she's watching right now, so she appreciates that very, very much. Jasmine, hello, Jasmine, says, I call an over 6.5 tonight, hopefully for the good guys. Jasmine, I like that. I like that hot take. Could happen because there's a lot of offense, and like Scalding Gord said, potentially shaky goaltending. Norman, a Combine. Hello, Norm. Says, boys, Hyman has been the Oilers' best player this year. Comes to play every single game. Great show, Norm, in a Combine. Thank you, Norm. Fat Dan also appreciates Cass's analysis on his Brown breakdown. The nasty chat. Let's see what's going on there. Hello, Rebecca. Devils fan here. Will y'all be covering the game? I can't watch it, shaking my head. Rebecca, you can definitely join us for the post-game show. Hope you do. Hope you do. We'd like to get as many viewers and listeners from everywhere as possible. We do have our map, our global map, and we've started to pin locations where we've got people watching and listening from. So maybe we can add Rebecca, if you're in the Jersey area, to the pin on the map. We appreciate that. Okay. Final words from you, YouTube, Trev, because we've got the game coming up right away here.
Yeah, just should be a good game tonight. Expecting, kind of like everyone, a lot of goals. It's a run and gun team. The New Jersey Devils are. That seems to benefit the Oilers. They like that kind of. They like that. That's in their style of play. I'd say they're not a very defensive-sounded team. So I'm expecting more goals than the first time these two teams met up. Jack Hughes, he was very quiet in that first game. Yep. I don't think he got a point. So expect big things from him. Nico Hischier as well was pretty quiet. Amanda mentioned Timo Meier and his lack of offensive production. Yeah. So that means he's probably going to score tonight. They're a really good team. There's going to be goals galore. I've got a weird suspicion tonight. Yeah. I think there's going to be lots of offense. I'm all for it. I love goals, but here's hoping that the Oilers can get back to their winning ways and can start to right the wrong, because it's just no consistency, and I think that's just frustrating. So many fans out there. It makes it hard to watch. So
understandable.
Get back in the win column tonight, and that's all I got.
That was good. Well done, sir.
Thank you, man.
This is Edmonton's 14th road game of the season so far. 4-9 record away from Rogers Place. Meanwhile, the Devils 6-7-2 at home so far this season. So both teams kind of struggle when it comes to where they are at physically. The Oilers on the road, Devils at home. We'll see who gets the better of whom tonight. And I also wanted to throw in one other thing. What was it? Yeah, Calvin Pickard. This was it. He has a 3-0 lifetime record against the Devils. .98 goals against average, .963 save percentage with a shutout in those 4 appearances versus New Jersey over the course of his career. And then at the other end of the rink, it will be 23-year-old Akira Schmid again. He did get that start in Edmonton on the 10th. Schmid, 5-7-1 mark with a .312 goals against average, .897 save percentage in 14 games this season. 0-1 lifetime versus the Oil. That is going to do it for the Oil Stream pregame show. Puck drop right around the corner from the Prudential Center. To everyone who tuned in, texted in, listened, watched, we appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Big thank you to Amanda Stein from NJD.TV. Great to catch up with Amanda. Excellent analysis as she teed up the Devils' point of view going into this one, as well as thank you to Cass and to YouTube Trev for Cass and YouTube Trev. I'm Tom Gazzola saying appreciate you tuning into the pregame show. Enjoy the Oilers and the Devils. We're going to have a Christmas donair tonight.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll be back for the postgame show. Enjoy, everyone. Ciao for now.